Hello, a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. You're watching this special broadcast of top stories from our studios here in the National Capital Region. And like always, this is your one-stop shop to catch hold of the news pulse of the day. Of course, we will be taking you across various kinds of developments vis-a-vis the presidential race in the United States and in Taiwan. Some stories about climate change and the world of entertainment and sports is also something that we, of course, will focus on. We are running towards January 22nd. It is Ram Lala's Pran Pratishtha. Updates from Ayodhya is also something that we're going to be talking about. Apart from, of course, the political chess pieces, how are they moving ahead of the general elections 2024? But first and foremost, the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas. What we're picking up is that, according to the White House, UK and US have collectively bombed the Houthis in Yemen. Updates from the war front first. The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being. Now, in a development, the United States President Joe Biden has said that the United States and Britain, collectively with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada and the Netherlands, carried out strikes in Yemen at sites used by the Houthi quote-unquote rebels, as per a White House statement. Now, in a statement that was released by the White House, it said that these strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea, including the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history. The statement went on to read that these attacks have endangered US personnel, civilian mariners and our partners, jeopardized trade and threatened freedom of navigation, according to the statement. Now, meanwhile, US President Joe Biden said that he would, quote-unquote, not hesitate to direct further measures to protect people and free flow of commerce. Britain's ministry, on the other hand, its Ministry of Defense, also released a statement and said that, quote-unquote, early indications are that the Houthis' ability to threaten merchant shipping has taken a massive blow. A Houthi officials confirmed, quote-unquote, raids in the capital Sana'a, along with the cities of Sada and Dhamar, as well as Hodeidah, the entire governorate, calling them American Zionist British aggression. So US, its partners, they attacked the Houthi rebels in and around sites in Yemen. Of course, the entire battle in the Red Sea, where you have the conglomerate of all these nations fighting it out against the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, making sure that tankers, cargo ships, containers can travel across the Red Sea safely. American Zionist British aggression is what the Houthis are calling it and labeling it at the moment. The White House has released a proper statement. So has, in fact, the Britain's Ministry of Defense. This is another development in the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas, almost a 3-month-long war. That's the statement by the White House. Joe Biden saying that at his direction, US military forces with UK, Australia, Bahrain, Canada and the Netherlands, they carried out attacks, successfully conducted strikes against targets in Yemen used by the Houthi rebels. Meanwhile, Britain's Ministry of Defense, it has also come out with its own statement and said that early indications are that the Houthis' ability to threaten merchant shipping, which is essentially the elephant in the room at the moment, the merchant shipping and Houthis' ability to threaten hefty trade lanes in the Red Sea has taken a massive blow. Meanwhile, sirens were reportedly heard at the US Embassy in Iraq on Thursday night. Reports of a bomb could not be confirmed as of now. Sketchy details This development came after the US and Britain, with the support of Australia, Bahrain, Canada and Netherlands, carried out strikes in Yemen at sites used by the Houthi rebels. Sirens heard at the US Embassy in Iraq just last night. Meanwhile, talking about the Red Sea attacks again, Antony Blinken, United States' Secretary of State, briefed External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, on the Red Sea attacks. Now, both discussed US and India's shared concerns over reckless Houthi attacks. Red Sea is a major commercial corridor that facilitates international trade, is what Blinken also corroborated again. He reiterated, and both the leaders welcomed increased cooperation with India in defending freedom of navigation in the entirety of the region. The Red Sea, particularly merchant shipping, that's the focus for all these nations. Now, both leaders discussed Israel-Hamas conflict, efforts to prevent its escalation. Delivery of humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza was something that was also discussed between the two leaders. The Secretary of State also discussed Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Meanwhile, the International Court of Justice, it opened hearings on Thursday for a case in which South Africa has accused Israel of subjecting Palestinians to genocidal acts, demanding an emergency suspension of Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Now, Israel has dismissed South Africa's case and has called it baseless. The International Court of Justice heard South Africa's arguments on Thursday and is set to hear Israel's response to the allegations today. Court President John E. Donoghue and South Africa's ambassador to the Netherlands, Visi Madonsela, they read out their opening statements.
South Africa contends that the acts and omissions by Israel of which it complains are genocidal in character because, I quote, they are intended to bring about the destruction of a substantial part of the Palestinian national, racial, and ethnical group, that being the part of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip, end of quote. South Africa asserts that the relevant acts are attributable to Israel, which has failed to prevent genocide and is committing genocide, and which has also violated and continues to violate other fundamental obligations under the Genocide Convention.
The application places Israel's genocidal acts and omissions within the broader context of Israel's 75-year apartheid, 56-year occupation, and 16-year siege imposed on the Gaza Strip, a siege which itself has been described by the director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza as a silent killer of people.
Now, South Africa has brought a genocide case against Israel to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, calling on the court to demand it to stop its assault on Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the accusations as hypocrisy and lies.
Sadly, the world has not succeeded in stopping the genocide that is currently unfolding in Gaza.
South Africa accused Israel of genocide in Gaza and demanded on Thursday that the UN's top court order an emergency suspension of its devastating military campaign. On the first of 2 days of hearings at the International Court of Justice in The Hague, South African advocates argued Israel's offensive aimed to bring about the destruction of the population of Gaza.
Israel's 75-year apartheid.
They pointed to 3 months of Israeli bombardment that has killed more than 23,000 people in the Palestinian enclave and made most Gazans homeless. An Israeli blockade on supplies of food, fuel and medicine has also created what the United Nations describes as a humanitarian catastrophe. Supporters of both the Palestinians and Israel protested outside the court, kept apart by police.
I expect the judges to order by law, right, and to call it what it is. It's a genocide against civilians in Gaza.
If anybody did a genocide, then it's Hamas.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said hypocrisy and lies were presented to the court, and that Israel was fighting, quote, murderous terrorists who carried out crimes against humanity. Hamas, which rules Gaza, launched a cross-border attack on Israel on October 7th. Israel says its militants killed 1,200 people and took 240 hostages. South African advocates told the court that didn't justify what they said was Israel's breaching of the UN's Genocide Convention. This was Adila Hassim.
The suffering of the Palestinian people, physical and mental, is undeniable. Turning to the third genocidal act under Article 2C. Israel has deliberately imposed conditions on Gaza that cannot sustain life and are calculated to bring about its physical destruction.
The preliminary hearings this week will consider whether the court should order Israel to stop fighting while it investigates the full merits of the case. The latter could take years. The case reveals stark international polarization over Gaza. Several Western countries joined Washington in calling genocide accusations against Israel unjustified, not least given the ruthlessness of the Hamas attack. At a camp for the displaced in Khan Yunis, Gazan Nabila Abu Khatir could barely follow the news for lack of electricity. She has lost her mother and many other relatives in the strikes and been displaced several times. She called on the ICJ to find a solution.
Every day there is killing. Every day there is death. Every day there is slaughter. Pressure Israel not to be at war. Are they human and we not human?
Post-apartheid South Africa has long defended the Palestinian cause, a relationship forged during the African National Congress's struggle against white minority rule. The ICJ's decisions are final and without appeal, but the court has no way to enforce them.
Meanwhile, Israelis denied the accusations made by South Africa in the International Court of Justice. Israel has rejected the allegations of genocide as baseless and accused Pretoria of playing the advocate of the devil for Hamas. Residents of Tel Aviv stated that Israel is combating Hamas, which killed 1,200 people and kidnapped 240 others, mostly civilians, in that October 7th attack that Israelis consider genocidal themselves.
What Israel is doing in Gaza is not a genocide, it's a war. Exactly, it's like other war around the world. But what the Gaza people, or I know Hamas, did in Israel, this is a kind of genocide because they killed whatever they saw in their face. Because not only Jews, children, women, and foreigners, people that are not Israeli, not Jews at all, they killed them, they kidnapped them, and so on. So what is genocide? It's not this. This is the real genocide.
Israeli politicians, when they're saying that they're going to bomb Gaza with a nuclear bomb, I think these are saying that are coming from an emotional place that is full of like frustration and hatred and ignorance. I'm confident that it won't happen. I want to be confident that it won't happen. I think that the stuff that happened so far is really, really devastating. But I don't know. I think the IDF is made of people at the end of the day, and most of the people are not hateful monsters that want to kill all the Palestinians. Most of the people in the IDF and in general just want to live in peace.
Now, pro-Palestinian protesters gathered near the International Court of Justice in The Hague on Thursday as the top UN court opened hearings in a case in which South Africa demands an emergency suspension of Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Carrying Palestinian flags, scores gathered to watch the proceedings on the large outdoor screens. Meanwhile, pro-Palestinian protesters also gathered near the International Court of Justice in The Hague on Thursday. Protesters marched in freezing temperatures in the city center, carrying Israeli and Dutch flags and posters with images of people taken hostage by Hamas.
I'm here today in support for Palestine and that they finally get the justice served, that there is a genocide happening and that the UN should act accordingly and the world should act accordingly.
There's been almost 100 days of indiscriminate bombing on the civilian population in Gaza, so I expect the judges to order by law
right? And to call it what it is, it's a genocide against civilians in Gaza.
What I hope is that it can achieve what has not been able to achieve up till now, which is a permanent ceasefire, a safety corridor for humanitarian help, so that the death toll does not go even further due to the risk of infection, epidemics, lack of electricity and food.
Meanwhile, in the capital of Yemen, Sana'a, a gathering took place with Yemenis expressing their protest against Israel's action in Gaza and expressing support for the prohibition of Israeli ships or those heading to Israeli ports, as stated by a Houthi leader and Houthi rebels earlier as well. The UN Security Council called for an immediate cessation of Houthi attacks on ships in the Red Sea, implicitly supporting a US-led task force that has been safeguarding vessels while urging caution to prevent an escalation of the tensions. Well, time for us to slip into a quick break over here. Meanwhile, all roads leading to Ayodhya at the moment as it prepares for the Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha on the 22nd of January. Stay with News 9 Live for the mega coverage. Don't forget.
Ram's Ayodhya rebuilt. Ram Lala's Pran Pratishtha. Countdown to January 22nd. Dateline Ayodhya. Catch the mega coverage only on News 9 Live.
While shifting our focus to that particular segment, in an exclusive conversation with TV9 Bharatvarsh, former Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan criticizes the Congress party for rejecting the invitation to the Ram temple consecration. Shivraj Singh Chauhan highlighted Congress's historical skepticism about Lord Ram's existence and criticized their current stance as a rejection of Indian culture and public sentiment. Take a look.
इस वक्त सारा देश राममय है। 22 जनवरी का सभी को बेसब्री से इंतज़ार है, मगर दूसरी तरफ कांग्रेस ने राम मंदिर का जो न्योता गया है उसे ही ठुकरा दिया है। बातचीत करने के लिए मध्य प्रदेश के पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री मामा शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी हमारे साथ हैं। सर, आपने भी देखा होगा कि कांग्रेस ने जो आमंत्रण गया उसे ठुकरा दिया राम मंदिर।
जाको प्रभु दारुण दुख देही, बाकी मति पहले हर ले ही। ये मति मारी गई है कांग्रेस की। सारा देश आज राममय है, सिया राममय सब जग जानी। और कांग्रेस पहले भी कहती थी कि राम भगवान का अस्तित्व है कि नहीं है, काल्पनिक है, मंदिर की जगह टॉयलेट बना दो। और अब वो प्राण प्रतिष्ठा में जाने का जो निमंत्रण मिला उसको अस्वीकार कर रहे हैं। ये केवल निमंत्रण को अस्वीकार करना नहीं है, ये भगवान राम के अस्तित्व को ही अस्वीकार करना है, भारत की पहचान को अस्वीकार करना है, भारतीय संस्कृति को अस्वीकार करना है, जन भावनाओं को अस्वीकार करना है। और इसीलिए तो कांग्रेस की ये दुर्गति हो रही है।
सर, उस दिन की बात करें अगर हम, उस वक्त की, आप खुद कार सेवक रहे हैं, आप भी वहाँ पर गए थे। शॉर्ट में अगर आप बता पाएँ वहाँ की यादें कितनी जुड़ी हुई है, वो दिन कितना खास है, और अब जो 22 जनवरी आने वाली है वो कितनी खास रहने वाली है?
कई बार हम लोगों ने अयोध्या जाने का प्रयास किया, लेकिन जब मंदिर का आंदोलन अपने पूरी गति से चल रहा था तब हम लोग भी कार सेवा के लिए जाने वाले थे। हनुमाना हम पहुंचे थे, सतना में रात रुके थे और हनुमाना बॉर्डर क्रॉस करके हम उत्तर प्रदेश की सीमा में गए थे, अपने ही देश उत्तर प्रदेश। लेकिन वहाँ आश्चर्य होता है ये कहते हुए कि ऐसा माहौल था कि आप प्रवेश नहीं कर सकते, घुस नहीं सकते। लेकिन हम लोग वहाँ घुसे थे, गिरफ्तार हुए थे और बाद में जौनपुर जेल में 8 दिन हम स्वयं रहे थे। वहाँ भी भक्तिमय वातावरण था, मैं भी भजन गाता था, गीत गाता था और राम मंदिर के लिए कोई भी बलिदान देने को तैयार है, ये उसके भाव होते थे। लेकिन 8 दिन बाद छूट के हम फिर अयोध्या गए थे और टेंट में रामलला के दर्शन किए थे।
सर, TV9 भारतवर्ष ने एक खुलासा किया है, जो कांग्रेस की भारत जोड़ो यात्रा 2 है उसके लिए जो अकाउंट नंबर या QR कोड जारी किए गए वही फर्जी एक तरह से जारी कर दिए गए। जिन्होंने दान दिया वो दूसरे के खाते में चला गया।
दरअसल कांग्रेस ही आजकल पूरी तरह से फर्जी हो गई है। इसलिए ऐसे फर्जी बाड़े आश्चर्य के विषय नहीं है।
एक आखिरी सवाल सर, आज ही स्वच्छता भारत की रैंकिंग भी आई है। इंदौर एक दौर है, प्रधानमंत्री भी आए थे, आपने जमकर स्वच्छता के लिए मध्य प्रदेश के लिए काम भी किया है। इंदौर एक बार फिर से सातवीं बार
7वें आसमान पर है। इंदौर वासियों को बधाई देता हूँ। मध्य प्रदेश के बाकी शहर जिन्होंने पुरस्कार जीते उनको बधाई देता हूँ। ओवरऑल मध्य प्रदेश की जनता को भी मैं बधाई देता हूँ, क्योंकि मध्य प्रदेश ने भी अपना अहम स्थान बरकरार रखा है।
ये हमसे बातचीत कर रहे थे पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री शिवराज सिंह चौहान, जिनका कहना है कि कांग्रेस ही एक तरह से फर्जीवाड़ा है, इसलिए इसमें किसी तरह की कोई ताज्जुब की बात नहीं है।
Meanwhile, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, he accepted invitation for the consecration ceremony in Ayodhya on the 22nd of January. He expressed his intention to schedule a visit to the Ram temple in Ayodhya, stating that he will coordinate that at a suitable time. Now, this announcement was made during a conversation with VHP's International Working President Alok Kumar and the chairperson of the Ram Temple Construction Committee, Nriperendra Mishra.
अयोध्या धाम में श्री राम लल्ला की प्राण प्रतिष्ठा के महान अवसर पर आमंत्रण प्राप्त कर मैं अभिभूत हूँ। देश के हर कोने में इस अवसर पर एक ऐसा उद्गम रहेगा जो आज तक विश्व ने कभी नहीं देखा है। मैं परिवार सहित तीनों पीढ़ियों सहित अयोध्या धाम आऊँगा, आपको समय की सूचना दूंगा। और मेरा यह सौभाग्य है कि मैं भारत के उस कालखंड में हूँ जहाँ सदियों के पश्चात ये काम फलीभूत हुआ है। जिन लोगों ने ये फलीभूत किया है वो साधुवाद के पात्र हैं। भारत के संविधान की मूल भावना राम में निहित है और इसी को दृष्टिगत रखते हुए भारत के संविधान में संविधान निर्माताओं ने मौलिक अधिकार के खंड में वो चित्र रखा है जिसमें राम, सीता और लक्ष्मण दिखाए गए हैं और संकेत देता है कि राम राज्य में इन अधिकारों का क्या मतलब है। कितना विवेकपूर्ण और दूरदर्शी उन लोगों का निर्णय था जिन्होंने हमें संविधान दिया और उस को पार्ट 3 फंडामेंटल राइट्स के ऊपर रखा। ये बहुत सौभाग्य का विषय है। आऊंगा, जरूर आऊंगा, तीनों पीढ़ियों के साथ आऊंगा और आपको समय की सूचना दे दूंगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Moving on, more than 7 years after laying its foundation, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 22-kilometer Mumbai Trans Harbour Link, the MTHL, the country's longest sea bridge, during his day-long visit to Maharashtra. Now, formally named Atal Bihari Vajpayee Sevari Nyaha Seva Atal Setu, the bridge connects Sevri in Mumbai to Chirli in the state's mainland district of Raigad at Navi Mumbai and is expected to cut travel time by around 45 minutes. Now, Prime Minister Modi's cavalcade is set to take this route to reach Panvel, where he is scheduled to address a rally as well. That's the Prime Minister's post on the microblogging website X, formerly known as Twitter. He says, I look forward to being among the people of Maharashtra tomorrow, the 12th of January. Of course, today is that day, 7 years after laying the foundation stone. Well, the Setu is finally going to be inaugurated. Now, take a look at this. The two carriageway 6-lane bridge comprises a 16.5 kilometer long sea link and a 5.5 kilometer land viaducts on the approach at both these ends and was constructed at a cost of over rupees 21,200 crore rupees, including a loan of rupees 15,100 crore from the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi, he will tour Nashik before coming to Navi Mumbai. He will visit the famous Kalaram temple in Nashik. Now, it's interesting to note here that Uddhav Thackeray had also announced that he would visit the same temple on the day of the consecration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya on the 22nd of January, as he had not been invited to Ayodhya. Now, this is the same temple where Dr. Ambedkar had done an agitation for the entry to the members of the SC community as well. So, important temple over there, important day for the Prime Minister, but the Setu, which is going to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister.
तो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी शिवली नवसेवा अटल सेतु, इसका उद्घाटन माननीय प्रधानमंत्री इनके शुभ हाथों से 12 जनवरी को होने वाला है। ये जो प्रोजेक्ट है, इसे सारे एक्सपर्ट जो है इसको एक इंजीनियरिंग मार्वल ऐसा कह रहे हैं। इसके पीछे कई कारण हैं। ये भारत का सबसे लंबा ब्रिज है, ये भारत का और एशिया का सबसे बड़ा सी ब्रिज है। ये ब्रिज पूरे विश्व में जो सी ब्रिजेस है उनमें से वन ऑफ द टॉप ब्रिजेस में से माना जा रहा है। इस ब्रिज में तीनों टेरेन से हमने काम किया हुआ है, यानी हमने इस पर लैंड का एक एलिवेटेड पार्ट है, इसमें समुद्र में एक ब्रिज है और साथ ही में मडफ्लैट्स में इसमें काम की गई है। इसमें कई टेक्नोलॉजीज ऐसी इस्तेमाल हुई है जो पहली बार भारत में इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, जैसे कि ऑर्थोट्रॉपिक स्टील डेक्स जो कि बड़े स्पैन देने में मदद करती है, जैसे कि रिवर्स सर्कुलेशन रिग्स जिससे आवाज जो है वो कम होता है और साथ ही में वाइब्रेशंस कम होती है, जिससे मरीन लाइफ, एक्वेटिक लाइफ, फ्लोरा फौना इसको मिनिमम डैमेज होता है। जैसे साइलेंसर्स इन इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स एंड इक्विपमेंट, जैसे काम करते वक्त साउंड बैरियर का इस्तेमाल करना, जैसे एकदम अत्याधुनिक डेब्री कलेक्शन सिस्टम जिससे डेब्री जो है वो न गिरे, बेस्ट सेफ्टी प्रैक्टिसेस जिससे अधिक से अधिक सेफ्टी के पे ध्यान दिया जाए और जीवित हानि जो है वो मिनिमाइज किया जाए, एकदम कम किया जाए, इस प्रकार के काम की गई है। इस ब्रिज का अगर हम देखें तो इसमें जो रीइंफोर्स स्टील जो यूज किया गया है वो आईफिल टावर के 17 टाइम्स है। तो आप कितना स्टील यूज हुआ ये आप इमेजिन कर सकते हैं। जैसे इसमें जो स्ट्रक्चरल स्टील यूज की गई है दैट इज 4 टाइम्स द हावड़ा ब्रिज। इसमें जो कंक्रीट यूज किया गया है वो स्टैच्यू ऑफ लिबर्टी के 6 पट इससे ज़्यादा इसमें यूज की गई है। इसमें जो वायरिंग है वो वायरिंग को अगर आपने पूरे डायमीटर में लिया तो वो 2 पट होता है। इसमें जो ट्रक्स आई है सामान लेकर, तो ये ट्रक को अगर लाइन में खड़ा कर दे तो ऐसा कहा जाता है कि ये धरती से चंद्रमा तक के वो लाइन लग जाएगी। इस प्रकार से कई सारे इसके विशेषताएं हैं।
Now, the inauguration of the 22 odd kilometer Atal Bihari Vajpayee Smruti Sevri Nyahava Sheva Atal Setu is set to significantly benefit commuters between South Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, offering a shorter travel route.
साउथ मुंबई से रायगढ़ नवी मुंबई को जोड़ने वाले ब्रिज का उद्घाटन प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के हाथों 12 जनवरी को होना है। यहां पर उद्घाटन से पहले की तस्वीर आपको दिखा देते हैं। इस ब्रिज पर आप देखिए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के बैनर और पोस्टर लग गए हैं उनके इंतजार में। साथ साथ में यहां पर आपको भगवा झंडा भी नजर आएगा। सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि इस ब्रिज का निर्माण जो है MMRDA द्वारा किया गया है। इस प्रोजेक्ट को मुंबई ट्रांस हार्बर लिंक प्रोजेक्ट के तौर पर भी जाना जाता है और इस ब्रिज के बनने के बाद में इसे पूर्व स्वर्गीय प्रधानमंत्री अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी के नाम पर रखा गया है। और इस ब्रिज के बनने के बाद में खास तौर पर मुंबई से पुणे, रायगढ़, नवी मुंबई जाने वाले लोगों को जो है फायदा होगा। साथ साथ में जो लोग पुणे से मुंबई की दिशा में आ रहे हैं या फिर रायगढ़ से या फिर नवी मुंबई से मुंबई की दिशा में आ रहे हैं, उनके लिए ये ब्रिज जो है बेहद कारगर साबित होगा। सबसे खास बात यह है कि 22 किलोमीटर का यह लंबा ब्रिज है, लेकिन इस 22 किलोमीटर की दूरी को आप सिर्फ 20 मिनट में तय कर सकते हैं। समंदर में भारत के इतिहास में यह सबसे बड़ा ब्रिज है, क्योंकि 22 किलोमीटर के इस ब्रिज में 16.5 किलोमीटर का ब्रिज का निर्माण जो है वो समंदर के ऊपर किया गया है, जबकि 5.5 किलोमीटर जो ब्रिज है वो जमीन पर बना हुआ है। इससे आप समझ सकते हैं कि ये किस तरह का प्रोजेक्ट था और ये सरकार के एक ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट के तौर पर जाना जाता था, क्योंकि मुंबई में ट्रैफिक की समस्या से निदान पाने के लिए ये प्रोजेक्ट बेहद कारगर साबित होगा। खास तौर पर जो लोग साउथ मुंबई से पुणे की दिशा में जाना चाहते हैं या फिर रायगढ़ जाना चाहते हैं, नई मुंबई जाना चाहते हैं, और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के हाथों 12 जनवरी के उद्घाटन के बाद में इसे आम लोगों के लिए खोल दिया जाएगा। इस ब्रिज पर जाने से पहले आपको 250 रुपए टोल के तौर पर भी देना होगा। कैमरा पर्सन सुभाषिस दाम के साथ राजीव सिंह, TV9 भारतवर्ष, मुंबई।
Well, a 250 rupee toll for all those services. Meanwhile, take a look at this. The founding member of Lashkar-e-Toiba, Hafiz Abdul Salam Bhutawi, who was the deputy of Hafiz Saeed, has been confirmed dead by the United Nations Security Councils, as it put out a statement on Thursday. He was also a key conspirator in the 26/11 Mumbai attacks in 2008, and the UNSC said that he died of a cardiac arrest in the month of May back in the year 2023, just last year. Now, the Lashkar-e-Toiba orchestrated the 26/11 Mumbai attacks over the course of 4 days, killed as many as 166 people, injuring more than 300. Also, Hafiz Saeed is a UN proscribed terrorist, and the government recently issued a request to Pakistan for the extradition of Hafiz Saeed to India. In a press note on its official website, the UN further said that Bhutawi, who was 77 years old, died in Muridke in Pakistan's Punjab province whilst he was under the custody of the Pakistan government. Now, the statement read, this is the United Nations Security Council statement. It read, and I quote, Bhutawi died of cardiac arrest in Muridke in the Punjab province in Pakistan on the 29th of May 2023 while he was in the custody of the government of Pakistan. It added that Bhutawi took charges of the group's day-to-day functions for the period when Hafiz Saeed was detained days after the Mumbai terror attacks. Hafiz Saeed was released from Pakistani authorities' custody in June 2009. Currently, Hafiz Saeed, the mastermind of the Mumbai terror attack and outlawed Jamaat-ud-Dawah chief, is serving a 78-year imprisonment sentence in Pakistan itself. The United Nations Security Council also stated that in mid-2002, Bhutawi was in charge of the establishment of Lashkar-e-Toiba organizational base in Lahore. He was listed on the 14th of March in 2023 as being associated with Al-Qaeda for participating in or supporting activities of Lashkar-e-Toiba. Hafiz Abdul Salam Bhutawi, dead, confirmed by the UNSC. Well, time for us to slip into a quick commercial break here. News and updates on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, the scale of the attack surprised us.
When you get a series of alerts, 16 intelligence alerts, if Maharashtra government at that time had alerted the Coast Guard and the Navy, this 26/11 would not have happened at all.
And one of the details they had planned was to use these dhagas to mislead the investigative agencies.
All this was to be presented as a Hindu terror. So it was a Pakistan operation. The LET was the front end.
As the attacks were on, it was clear that they were planned and launched from Pakistani territory.
For all of those victims of terror that was exported from Pakistan over the years, including but not limited to 26/11.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Mitchell Starc became the costliest player in the history of the IPL. A defiant performance by Ten Hag's men, keeping Liverpool quiet to earn a goalless draw.
Sri Lanka don't have any chance. There's another way to win here. I think it's too late in the day.
I wonder how that will happen, given he is among the richest sportspersons on this planet at the moment.
How the game is evolving, and I think that's really important.
Go all guns blazing into this journey now. Now standing at 7 feet 4 inches, Satnam Singh is making his way into professional wrestling.
I did my best, but now I have to change my life. I hope so. We are getting more good news for India in 2024.
Nobody would have expected this.
Welcome back. You're watching News 9 Live. Now, India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, took to Twitter sharing details of a fruitful discussion with United States' Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. Now, the conversation centered on maritime security challenges, particularly in the Red Sea region. Now, let's understand what essentially happened during that particular phone call. Antony Blinken, he briefed S. Jaishankar on the Red Sea attacks. Now, both these leaders discussed US and India's shared concerns over reckless Houthi attacks. Red Sea is a major commercial corridor that facilitates international trade. He also welcomed increased cooperation with India in defending freedom of navigation in the region, especially the Red Sea when it comes to merchant shipping. Now, both the leaders discussed the Israel-Hamas conflict and efforts to prevent its escalation, not just on land, but it seems in water as well. Delivery of humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza, because the humanitarian crisis is certainly widening across the Palestinian enclave, was something that was also discussed. The Secretary of State for the United States, Antony Blinken, also discussed Russia's conflict with Ukraine and the war of aggression. Meanwhile, take a look at this. Amid escalating India-Maldives tensions, Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu, he visited China, where both the nations, Maldives and China, agreed to elevate their relations to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership, emphasizing on increased strategic cooperation and rejecting any kind of external interference in the Maldives' internal affairs. Now, the joint press communique outlined the plans to strengthen political guidance, expand practical cooperation, and collaborate on international issues. Work on the well-being of people for both sides, China and Maldives, and foster a shared future. Now, this move follows Maldives' participation in the Global Security Initiative and the signing of 20 memorandums of understanding, MOUs, covering areas such as the blue economy, digital economy, infrastructure development linked to the Belt and Road Initiative, disaster mitigation, and news cooperation as well. The decision marks a notable shift in Maldives' strategic policy, especially right after the Lakshadweep versus Maldives social media row. Meanwhile, in a remarkable medical effort, the transplant team at the command hospital in Chandi Mandir successfully harvested liver and kidneys from a brain-dead 15-year-old daughter of an Indian Army soldier. These life-saving organs were swiftly transported by the Indian Air Force to the R&R hospital in Delhi, where they were successfully implanted, providing new lease of life to critically ill patients. This midnight surgical operation showcased the dedication of the medical professionals at the command hospital. The noble initiative of organ donation by the grieving soldier is also highly commendable, bringing new hopes to others' lives. The Army put out a tweet as well. This isn't the first such life-saving effort from the Western Command Hospital in Chandi Mandir, by the way, which is situated in Haryana. Back in December 2022, organs from a young newlywed air warrior were transplanted after he was declared brain dead. Organ transplantation within the armed forces began in the late 2000s and was introduced at the Western Command Hospital in 2014. The Armed Forces Organ Retrieval and Transplantation Authority in New Delhi is the body that coordinates these critical and life-saving processes. Well, shifting our focus to Manipur next, where a heavy fuel that leaked from a power station in Manipur's Imphal Valley has spilled into streams that were flowing alongside it, causing an environmental calamity. The incident happened on Wednesday night at the Limakhong power station in Kangpokpi district. Streams passing through villages such as Kantusabal and Sekmai were affected by the spill, and to ascertain the cause behind the heavy fuel leakage in the river in Manipur, the Manipur government has formed a 3-member committee to investigate the matter. The committee formed has been done under the chairmanship of senior IPS officer Ashutosh Kumar Sinha. Now, these streams, they meet the Imphal River, which is the lifeline of the region, after they all make it downstream. A committee has been formed. Earlier, the Chief Minister's office directed the departments concerned to take immediate necessary actions to prevent environmental calamity, making use of all available resources in terms of machinery, manpower and expertise. But we got those visuals of how the oil leakage is polluting the entirety of the streams. Take a look at that. In the meantime, in order to ensure supply of potable water to the residents of Limakhong area, as an interim measure, the PHED in Manipur has started providing potable water by diversification of source by boring tube wells, water supply through tankers, etc. And as a precautionary measure, the general public is requested to not use raw water from the streams from Limakhong to Lamdeng until the water testing report is confirmed. Well, shifting our focus to some mainstream politics, we're addressing the BJP workers. The party's national president, JP Nadda, criticized the Congress's Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, renaming it to Bharat Todo Anyaya Yatra. He accused Congress of historically dividing India and questioned its unity efforts. JP Nadda claimed that Congress indulges in vote bank politics and compared it with BJP, who have nationalist approach on the contrary. He criticized Rahul Gandhi's statements at JNU, demanding an apology as well. JP Nadda also targeted the entire India bloc, alleging that it protects leaders with CBI cases. He also emphasized on Prime Minister Modi's Northeast focus and urged BJP workers to secure a third term, highlighting achievements and commitment to poverty reduction through a report card politics and inclusive governance. Another controversy around the silver screen, the film Annapurni, starring South's actress Nayanthara, was taken down from Netflix because of the protest by right-wing groups who claimed the movie and the film offended Hindu sentiments, particularly those of Brahmins. Now, an FIR was filed against Nayanthara and the debutant director Nilesh Krishna, along with the film's producers, under charges of promoting enmity between groups. A co-producer of the Zee Entertainment has issued a written apology to the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, VHP, a Hindu outfit, assuring the film's withdrawal until necessary edits were made in the film. The movie portrays the story of a temple cook's daughter who dreams of becoming the country's best chef and learns to make non-vegetarian food against her family's wishes. The film also faced accusations of attributing false statements to Lord Ram, leading to social unrest concerns. Now, Netflix has globally removed the film, which was released in theaters on the 29th of December in various languages, of course. Zee Entertainment has pledged to address concerns and has also apologized for any hurt that was caused. Zee has also emphasized that they had no intention to disrespect the religious sentiments of Hindus and specifically the Brahmin communities. VHP has hailed the decision as a victory for the Hindus. Meanwhile, Moving on to Karnataka, where a group of 6 to 7 Muslim men assaulted and verbally abused an interfaith couple staying at a hotel in Karnataka's Haveri district, as per police reports. Now, the incident, it occurred on the 7th of January, and the victims reported their ordeal to the police, leading to the registration of a case against the perpetrators. 2 individuals have been arrested in the case so far. The victim was pulled out of a room in a hotel after she was found with a person from another religion and was beaten by a group of 6 men in the Hangal town. Horrible moral policing case that has come to light in Hanagal in Haveri. Only 2 of the 7 have been arrested. Video of the attack has certainly meanwhile gone viral. A reaction coming here from a stakeholder.
जो कुछ घटना घटे है, एक लड़की ने इल्जाम लगाया है कि वो एक लड़के के साथ जब वो कहीं रह रहे थे, कुछ अन्य कास्ट के लड़के आके उनको उठा के लेके गए। पहले जो लड़का उनके साथ था उनको पिटाई किया, मारा, बाद में उनको उठा के लेके जाके गैंगरेप किया है, ऐसे उन्होंने एलिगेशन किया है। ये तो बहुत ही गंभीर विषय है। तो मैं प्रदेश सरकार से आग्रह करता हूं कि सिद्धरामैया से आग्रह करता हूं, गृह मंत्री से आग्रह करता हूं, राज्य गृह मंत्री से, इसके इंक्वायरी, सीरियस इंक्वायरी होना चाहिए। जो भी इन्वॉल्व है तुरंत उन लोगों को अरेस्ट करना चाहिए और बाकी जो कार्रवाई हुआ है, कार्रवाई होना है, वो तो तुरंत करना चाहिए। एट मोमेंट मैं इतना कहता हूं, मैं पूरा डिटेल में, क्योंकि अभी तक इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है, एलिगेशन तो किया है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है, तो ठीक तरह से इन्वेस्टिगेशन करना। और कुछ लोगों का एक डाउट है कि ये हशप हो सकता है, ये हशप वगैरह नहीं करना चाहिए।
Well, shifting our focus to some top global developments next. Donald Trump has injected campaign-style rhetoric into the closing arguments of his $370 million New York civil fraud trial, criticizing the case and the involved attorney general. He contested being innocent and called the trial a political witch hunt. Furthermore, Trump accused the New York judge, Arthur Engoron, of having a personal agenda. Trump and Engoron have clashed repeatedly over the course of the trial earlier as well. Donald Trump also blamed the New York Attorney General for Exxon leaving the state back in 1989, even though she was elected in 2018.
He's a political hack, the Attorney General. The judge is obviously extremely friendly with the group, and we'll see what happens. I think maybe he may surprise people on a positive side. We'll have to see what happens exactly. But we've proven this case so conclusively. We've asked for directed verdict many times. They don't have any facts. They don't have any evidence against us. Millions and millions of pages, years of litigation, and all politically motivated. She campaigned on a "I will get Trump." If you've ever seen any of her clips, they're horrible clips, actually. The anger, she's got serious Trump derangement syndrome. There's no question about it. Letitia James, the corrupt Attorney General of New York. So we've proven our case. There's not one witness against us other than one person who is a deranged. He's got a lot of problems. He's a man who's been convicted of lying. He's a felon, convicted felon, and not a good person, but that's their only witness, and he's now crashed and burned. They have no witnesses. And by the way, that witness took back everything that he said. He took back everything he said in court, took it all back.
Meanwhile, in assessing the dynamics of presidential immunity, Trump argued that if a president of the United States does not have immunity, he'll be totally ineffective.
If the president of the United States does not have immunity, he'll be totally ineffective because he won't be able to do anything, because it will mean he'll be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted perhaps, as soon as he leaves office by the opposing party. So a president of the United States, I'm not talking just me, I'm talking any president, has to have immunity. As an example, Biden could come out and you could get him on the border, you could get him on what happened in Afghanistan, the horrible most embarrassing moment in the history of this country. You could get him on a lot of different things. You could get him taking cash from countries. You could get him on the prosecutor not prosecuting his son or the company or whoever it was, Burisma, in Ukraine. You could get him on that.
Moving on, in Ukraine, families of missing soldiers are urging for more prisoner of war exchanges. Despite a recent swap with Russia, many Ukrainian soldiers remain captive for more than a year. Demonstrators call for additional releases to reunite these individuals with their loved ones. Take a look.
The St. Michael's Church in Kyiv. A demonstration for soldiers captured by the Russians. I want a bedtime story from my dad, it says. Natalia is one of the organizers.
Many of our soldiers are being killed. They are kept in captivity and tortured for protecting and defending our country. This is an appeal to our society to look around and open their eyes to what is happening.
І все ж таки побачити, що відбувається в країні.
Reminders of the war are never far away. Many here felt their spirits lifted by a recent prisoner exchange between Ukraine and Russia, the biggest since the war began. It was a rare show of accord between Moscow and Kyiv. Tatiana's son wasn't among them. He was captured by the Russians in Mariupol in the summer of 2022. She last heard from Artem just before he was taken. She says prisoner swaps are crucial.
The only possibility to get some information is when there's a prisoner exchange. In April, a civilian who was released said he was in the same cell with him. He saw him, he lost weight. But he hasn't lost faith. He knows his mother loves him and that she will not stay silent.
There are many women like Tatiana here, determined to take a stand.
In recent months, we've seen a growing number of demonstrations across Ukraine, like this one today in downtown Kyiv. Now, the people gathered here are understandably angry. They're desperate for answers. They're pressing the government for more information about their loved ones, missing in action, in some cases, for over a year and a half.
Many want the authorities to step up behind-the-scenes negotiations with Russia.
We need to communicate more with our enemy, strange as that sounds, in order to get our soldiers released.
This is my boyfriend. He's been in captivity for more than a year. More negotiations are needed so that we have more exchanges.
Tatiana has a message for the other side.
I have a strong desire to address mothers on the other side. Is it so hard to stand up for your children? I want my son returned. We are not asking for more. Just take yours and give us ours.
Moving on, artificial intelligence has taken the center stage where bots rule Las Vegas gadget show, and Elvis has also made a quick comeback. Here are the major highlights of the artificial intelligence revolution.
From why Bali wants to help around the house to how Elvis is back in the building. This is Generation AI. Artificial intelligence is the hot topic at this year's CES gadget show in Las Vegas. Dozens of firms are making pitches, from an AI-powered dashboard from Mercedes-Benz to robotic aids for athletes.
You can run faster with this device because it automatically detects your running posture and your intent, and it will synchronize your motion.
Samsung is getting in on the action too with an AI-powered home robot. Dubbed Bali, it can follow its owner around and operate some household appliances. Chief Executive Han Zhang-hee says the tech is no fad.
That is our goal at Samsung, to bring AI to millions around the world, to make it work for you, to make it work for all.
AI is helping Elvis make a virtual comeback. British firm Layered Reality has used the tech to create a new performance from material, including hours of Elvis's home videos. The virtual reality show will debut in London. Google faces a massive new trial over intellectual property. Singular Computing is seeking close to $1.7 billion in damages, saying the search giant copied its technology for use in AI systems. A lawyer for Google denied the allegations. And Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is making its play. It's buying networking gear maker Juniper Networks for $14 billion. The deal is meant to give HPE access to AI-driven products and things like business networking.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Top Stories. News and updates continue on the other side. Keep watching Newsnight Live.
It was my 14th birthday.
On birthday, daughter waits
for missing father. He was carrying a cake for his daughter.